GZM Shows and the creators of 6 Minutes are rolling out their newest audio adventure with the podcast Discovering Dad. A cautious single dad with a secret past and his rebellious kids embark on a thrilling quest complete with hidden treasure, villains, and a family curse. New episodes of Discovering Dad roll out weekly starting June 11th on Apple Podcasts. Follow the show so you never miss an episode, or listen early and ad-free as a GZM Shows subscriber. Go to gzmshows.com to learn more.
Contained herein are the heresies of Radolf Buntwine, erstwhile monk turned traveling medical investigator. Join me as I study the secrets of the divine plagues and uncover the blasphemous truth that ours is not a loving God, and we are not its favored children. The heresies of Radolf Buntwine, wherever podcasts are available.
And now, stop me if you've heard this before on the Toddcast podcast.
You'll know Billy Talent from the amazing Canadian rock stations that play their music, and rightfully so. They're one of the best rock bands to come out of Canada. Formed in 93, originally they were called Pez, but they changed their name due to some legal trouble. They've gone on to sell millions of albums. They're 6 deep in their catalog, and they show no signs of slowing down. And when their bassist John Gallant was a guest, we talked about how GNR, Guns N' Roses, heavily influenced him. Seeing Burton Cummings in concert, we talked about some of their career highlights. Talked about seeing Batman and Superman with his kid, how his band has massive success overseas. We talked about family, recording an album without their longtime drummer Aaron, and stop me if you've heard this before. John talked about how social media has changed the musical landscape.
Yeah, that's a kind of it really has, and it's hard to keep up with, especially when you're not too interested. Like when you reach a certain age and cross a threshold, some of the newer things just don't interest you anymore. You just don't feel like learning it. Mm-hmm. So there's that whole process too. Like Snapchat, like I'm up to date on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. I don't do, but I'm fine. Like I know all about it. And now there's Snapchat, and I'm like, okay, it's another thing. Like, do I really want to dive into this? And I don't.
like, do I need an Instagram page? Do I need to have,
But then you get people like I had my drum tech telling me the other day, you got to have Snapchat, man. All the bands are doing Snapchat. I'm like, yeah, I guess so. Like, I guess we should do that. And so, that's how it's all changed. It's really bizarre. You're kind of, I don't know. It's just so fast. Things are so much faster than they were when we were young.
Right.
And, but we try to stay on top of it and relevant because it is important and it's cool. And I like to think that we're not dinosaurs and we can navigate through these waters. But it is what it is. And I think in general, I think it's really hurt music. But social media and the internet and everything, I think the quality of music was better in the past. Now I think there's really quality music, but there's just too much music. It's everywhere. People can make music too easily and also get it out there too easily. So there's just a saturation.
Stop me if you've heard this before on the Toddcast podcast is brought to you by Puff, purveyors of quality cannabis accessories since 1995. Use promo code TODCAST and get 20% off all regularly priced accessories and apparel in-store and online at puffpipes.ca.
Talmor, Sheshin Murachi. Talmor is my home. My family have worked the land for generations. My gran says the island does not belong to us, but we belong to the island. And we must be ready, for a great evil is coming. And death follows with it.
Listen and subscribe to the latest season of Undertow, The Harrowing, a Storyglass production presented by Realm, available wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey there, it's Rachel Ballinger, and I am extremely excited to invite you to Rachel Uncensored. It's my podcast where I sit down and get real with my friends and celebrity guests, where we talk about all sorts of topics. And sometimes we might be under the influence when we do so. We cover things from personal stories to hot button issues. And it's the only place on the internet you can find an uncensored version of me. It's a side of me that you might not have seen before because it's not the most family or brand friendly. But don't worry, I'm still sort of slightly a decent human being. If you're intrigued, then make sure you check it out. New episodes drop every Wednesday. You can find it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Trust me, you won't want to miss out on the fun and candid conversations we have here on Rachel Uncensored.